Y'all get excited and check out the bark on this Japanese maple. Howdy and welcome to the Mr. Maple Show. I'm Tim of MrMaple.com. We're a family mail order business. We ship directly to your door. We do over 1,000 varieties of Japanese maples. Today, we're going to be talking about Acer palmatum Beni Kawa, a coral bark Japanese maple that provides dramatic interest in your landscape and garden. We're going to tell you how big this tree gets, how to grow the selection, how you can use it, how you can add dynamic contrast, and y'all, everything that's great about Acer palmatum Beni Kawa. First off, we're here in January in downtown Hendersonville at the corner of 6th Avenue and King Street to show you this Beni Kawa behind me. This is a specimen that we sold them as a 3-gallon years and years ago. We're in a church parking lot and they came down to the tailgate and actually purchased 2 Beni Kawas. There was actually a second one right over here that got hit by a car. Unfortunately, if you're at a busy intersection, something's happened. But Beni Kawa, this is a beautiful, beautiful Japanese maple. I mean, this has beautiful chartreuse green leaves in the spring and the summer, and it just gives this really lively feel in the garden. So spring and summer, you get this lovely, lively tree to add this lively feel in there. In the fall, you get a dramatic yellow fall color. It's often underrated on the fall color. When we visited many of the gardens this fall, like Gibbs Gardens, the South Carolina Botanical Garden, it was often the coral bark Japanese maples that stole the show with a clear yellow fall color because they provided so much contrast with the oranges and reds of many of the other trees and many of the other Japanese maples. So in a Japanese maple garden, the yellow gives great color contrast and really stands out. And that clear yellow fall color is very dynamic, especially on Beni Kawa. So if you're thinking fall color, simply amazing on the selection. Now, Beni is Japanese for red. Kawa is Japanese for bark. And that's because this selection has winter bark right now in the winter landscape. It adds a lot of drama, gives you color when deciduous trees don't have leaves, and it just adds a lot. I mean, right now, we've got snow on the ground. That's snow on the ground here in western North Carolina, and it just adds a lot of dramatic effect to this Beni Kawa. That's one of the reasons we had to get here and film it. But one thing that really helps add that dramatic effect if you've got a coral bark Japanese maple in your landscape or garden is planting an evergreen backdrop behind your coral bark. They listen to us here at the church, and you'll see they've got Jagrut spire and Ilex crenata sky pencil behind this, giving this a backdrop for that coral bark to really give a dynamic display against. The green on those evergreens give a dynamic color contrast with the bright red bark that Beni Kawa provides. To me, this is a coral bark selection that is uniquely different than many other specimens. Acer palmatum Beni Kawa was one of the first coral bark selections that we started growing here at MrMaple.com. And one of the reasons customers often preferred Beni Kawa was because of its smaller stature. We're talking 8 to 10 foot in 10 years. In comparison to something like Sango Kaku that may be getting 12 to 15 feet in that same time frame, this sets a smaller tree in the landscape that can fit in the ever-shrinking garden. As you'll notice with Beni Kawa too, it's almost equally as wide as it is tall. That distinguishes it from Sango Kaku, which may be 3/4 the size of its height on its width. This gives a dynamic tree that gives a lot of this coral bark nature, this coral bark down lower for you to be able to have that appeal up close and personal. So that's a really good thing about Beni Kawa as well. An interesting attribute to Beni Kawa that makes this tree easy for many people to use is that this coral bark holds its coral bark color even in deep shade, which is quite dramatically different than Sango Kaku that will typically green up quite a bit in a more shaded situation. This means that if you've got a shaded location, Beni Kawa is going to be the pick that you'll want to pick for your coral bark in your area. Now, the coral bark will intensify in its color during those winter months. Also, giving it sunlight will brighten up that coral bark always and give it a more dramatic display. So if you can give it more sunlight, you're going to get more drama in the garden. And that's what you're looking for with the Sango Kaku or a Beni Kawa. because they give that dramatic effect in the garden of that bright red bark. When the winter months, many things can be drab. You could have a lot of brown, a lot of just leafless trees in the garden, and here you've got this beacon of color on that bright red bark. Beni Kawa is fairly heat tolerant as well. We've seen that this tree can go down in the south of the United States and handle a lot of sun, more sun than many other Japanese maples. This makes it easy for those people to use as well. I do recommend that Beni Kawa be grown in zone 6 through 9. We've got a spot on our website where you can plug in your zip code to figure out your zone hardiness. So you can actually figure out your USDA zone hardiness to figure out if this tree is going to be right for you. Zone 6 through 9 is best for most coral barks. We don't recommend them for zone 5. The main reason is because they have a thinner cambium and they're not as cold tolerant as some of your other selections. Doesn't mean that you can't grow it. It just means that we don't recommend it for that area. This is a beautiful tree. It's easy to use. It's easy to grow. And it's a classic Japanese maple that fits in many locations in your garden and landscape, or even in a church parking lot in downtown Hendersonville. Y'all, if you're interested in a Beni Kawa Japanese maple, check us out on MrMaple.com. We ship Japanese maples all across the continental United States. And if we're currently sold out of it, you can sign up to be notified when Beni Kawa becomes available on the Beni Kawa page on MrMaple.com. Click notify me, plug in your email, and we'll notify you when this tree becomes available again. We also list 10 new trees every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Actually 20 on Tuesdays and Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on MrMaple.com. It may be released through that, so you might want to sign up for our weekly emails. Y'all, if you like this type of cultivar video where we come and bring you and show you a specimen out in the landscape or in a parking lot, you're going to really make sure that you want to subscribe here on the Mr. Maple Show. We do daily walkthroughs, cultivar highlights, and we talk about our 10 at 10 releases. So make sure you're subscribed here and make sure you shop with us on MrMaple.com. Take care, God bless, and have a great day.